I'm here at the 14th Annual CFO COO Forum in New York with Kingsley Martin, who is the President and CEO of KM Standards. So Kingsley, maybe you can start by telling us what KM Standards is, what it does.
Thank you, Ralph. KM Standards is a technology company focused on the analysis of contracts. We feed the system with a sample set of contracts, automatically establish the standard of those contracts, tell you how they're organized, what clauses they contain, the standard language of each of those clauses, and all the deal-specific variations. How we use it in practice is to create good starting point templates and model forms that we can automate, to be able to review an existing contract and see how it stacks up to it. We can also use the technology to extract data, terms, out of existing contracts, and we can even pull the obligations out of those contracts, feed them into a big data system, and seek to optimize that portfolio of contracts.
So what are some of the outcomes that you can achieve using KM Standards in the way you've described?
We think of them as basically pre-signature. You've got two main use cases: drafting a new document, which you can either use a template, or you can automate, or you can create a playbook, more the corporate use of the terminology, and be able to compare any incoming contract to that playbook and provide the reviewing attorneys with both guidance and model language and fallback language. Post-signature, we extract data out of the contracts and feed them into contract management systems.
So, talk a little bit more about contract management systems into which you can feed that.
We see an interesting, quite frankly, dichotomy. In the law firms, they focus primarily on pre-signature work in progress, and they call their systems document management systems. They're primarily designed to manage the portfolio up to that point of signature. They are useful as a precedent database, but they don't think they're primarily configured for that. In the corporation, on the other hand, they call them contract management systems, and their goal is to manage the complete life cycle of that contract. So being able to pull out the obligations, and now we see this with technology, we see contracts now with perhaps 1,000 obligations embedded in them, hundreds of notice requirements, and the likelihood of anyone knowing what these contractual terms are is, quite frankly, extremely low.
Now, are there implications here for litigation or due diligence?
I think particularly in the existing portfolio, we see actually three main use cases. One is in the due diligence area of acquisition. I'm a company buying another one and I inherit a large portfolio of contracts. I want to know what's in there. I want to know what risks I've exposed myself to. We certainly do in class actions. We sometimes maybe review hundreds of thousands, nearly millions of contracts through the system. We see it in compliance. Companies want to ensure that their portfolio of contracts is compliant with government regulations. And the third main use case is to, particularly when corporations move from one contract management system to another, they want to be able to automatically pull out this key data and feed that into their contract management system.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And I have one other question for you. You were part of a panel today that was designed to be about Watson and other artificial intelligence, machine learning. What was one of the leading takeaways for you from that panel?
I think what we found was in the panel a great deal of interest in the potentiality of Watson. And it has to be said, some degree of skepticism whether or not we can make these enormous changes. I think people see this great opportunity, and I think that's probably the thing I most took away. I walked away optimistic that A, the technology could deliver these services, and B, there would be a slow acceptance of this capability.
Well, thank you, Kingsley. We'll all be interested to see what comes of Watson, and thank you for sharing that information about KM Standards.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you.